Do you suffer from belly bloats? If you do, keep watching because in this video we're going to talk about belly bloat causes and what you can do about it. Health Explorer Neil Fellows here, and if you want to get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit and do it in a way that's natural and unique to you, please subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of all of our latest interviews and reviews. Today I'm joined by award-winning nutritionist Trish Tucker May to discuss belly bloat causes and what you can do about it. Trish, tell me, how common is belly bloating?
In the clients that I see, the ladies that are over the age of 40 and perimenopausal or going through the menopause, very common and seems to be getting more common. I mean, that's what I deal with. So I do see a lot of it. But, you know, even if you're looking around the supermarkets and you're seeing some people and you think, yeah, look, even in Australia, the classic beer gut, the beer belly, that's very common. Yeah.
And it's common amongst women, or I don't know what they drink in Australia, but I mean, is it most common amongst women, beer belly, or are we talking men here when we talk beer belly?
Yeah, I think men, the beer belly, but the women also, you know, we had a bit of a joke with a couple of girlfriends in Australia, you know, it'd be, at the end of the day, oh, can we have our ball back, missus? Like feeling that pregnant feeling in the belly. And it was a joke amongst our friends, but it's not really a joke because that level of distension in the belly, that level of bloating is really uncomfortable.
Definitely. So you mentioned beer, but I mean, what are the causes of belly bloating?
There can be very simple causes and there can be very complex causes. So let's run through some of the simple causes. It could be an intolerance to certain foods that you're having, which could cause the bloat. It could be the fact that you are rushing around, rushing around, eating on the go, eating while you're working, while you're driving, while you're walking, while you're running, while you're doing whatever, running around after the kids. So you're not allowing that time to sit down and slow down and chew well. It can be that you're actually not chewing your food well. Everything I do in the clinic, I think about digestion, pardon me, from north to south, you know, from the mouth through to the stomach, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the small intestine and the large intestine and the colon. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in all of those areas that could cause bloating, that can be presented as bloating. So we start off in the mouth. Are we chewing? Have we got adequate saliva? The first part of digestion. Do we have good oral hygiene? Do we have a good oral microbiome? Because we see that link between the oral microbiome and what's going on in the gut.
Right. Yeah.
So we look at the tongue texture. The tongue in Chinese medicine can tell us a lot about the digestive health. So very simply, are you chewing well? Are you adequately hydrated? Do you have good oral microbiome? And if you could say yes to all of those things and you still have bloating, then it could be poor combinations of foods. It could be low stomach acid. So the hydrochloric acid in the stomach needs to be quite potent to break down food in a timely manner, so the food leaves the stomach quickly. So if we're having the wrong combinations of foods, then food can sit too long in the stomach. And if we have low stomach acid, the food will be sitting in the stomach and it will begin to ferment, and that causes bloating. And so a classic combination of the wrong foods. So for example, Christmas lunch is a great example where you eat lots of different combinations of foods and you probably drink as well and you're chatting as well. And all of that can cause that food coma and also cause that feeling of bloating. A classic combination of, if you have fruit after protein, fruit likes to leave the stomach really quickly within 20 minutes. Protein can stay in the stomach up to 3 hours as it's being broken down. So if you're having protein meal and then you have fruit afterwards, the fruit's going to ferment, it will cause bloating. So there's some of the easy things. Low stomach acid is really important, and I'll tell you how to test it. It's a really simple test, but we'll do that with the challenge. But also you can have poor bile flow, and bile is so important for helping taking the toxins out of the body. So it could be that the liver is struggling and therefore the bile pathways are blocked, and then that can cause bloating. And then we can get into much more complex reasons like a small intestine bacterial overgrowth, where you have opportunistic pathogens in the small intestine that can be causing problems. There could be candida, which is an overgrowth of yeast in the gut. There could be parasites. We've spoken about those before, the worms that parasites, those that nasty things that will reside in the GI tract and cause all sorts of problems. There can be a problem with the migrating motor complexes. Now, this sounds really complex, and it is. It's the phases of digestion. And in that third phase of digestion, which is vital, is when all the bacteria is swept from the small intestine. And that's a really, really important phase of digestion. And that happens in the last 10 to 20 minutes in a 3 to 4 hour window. So if we are the type of person that's grazing all day long, we're not giving that phase 3 of the migrating motor complex a chance to do its work. And that is the feeling, like that is, how do you know when that's working? You know that you get that stomach rumbling sort of feeling when you're hungry? Yeah. That is phase 3 of your migrating motor complex. So if you are not getting to that point where your stomach is rumbling before you eat again, then you're not giving that phase 3 a chance to work. And it is classic in people that struggle with IBS that phase 3 is not really working. It's been compromised for some reason.
Okay.
You can have a poor range of bacteria. Like when I test in a comprehensive stool test, I can see all the commensal bacteria that should be present and accounted for in the gut. And sometimes we have some of that missing, and that can cause bloating. And of course, we can have something like leaky gut, which is, where we have the junctions and the villi being damaged by medications or stress or a whole host of reasons, pathogens, and that causes holes in the gut. And then whole protein particles get through the gut into the bloodstream, and then that can cause all sorts of problems. So it can be a simple thing. It can be as simple as you're not chewing your food well enough, or the poor combinations of foods, and then it can be something much more complex. And the best way to tell whether it's what is it is how long has the problem been going on for? Is it worse in the morning, worse in the evening? Is it worse around the particularly for women around the different times of the cycle?
Yeah.
And how persistent is it? Like, how long have you had it for, and how bad is it really?
Yeah.
That's a good way to tell. And then working with someone like myself, like getting a stool test done so we know exactly what is the root cause of the bloating.
So what I'm hearing then is it's different reasons that the belly will bloat for maybe different things that we do. But I'm just curious, does it mean something different if, let's say, the belly's bloated first thing in the morning, or if it bloats, say, after a meal? And I'm guessing there's an impact because you mentioned right at the beginning, like women over the age of 40, so I guess sort of menopausal kind of women. Does the belly bloat during this as well? Could you explain a little bit more for me?
Yeah. So if you're the type of person that wakes up first thing in the morning and you already have a bloated belly and you haven't had any food in your stomach, I would think about hydrochloric acid. I would think about having food too close to bedtime. So your body, when your body sleeps, it wants to sleep. It doesn't want to be focusing on digestion. And digestion requires a lot of energy. So having that evening meal 3 hours before bedtime can be a really good way to prevent bloating. If you're waking up bloated, then my intuition, without doing a stool test, would be that there is some sort of small intestine bacterial overgrowth or a parasite of some type, and I'd really want to test for that. And then if it's bloating towards the end of the day, it is combinations of stress, the wrong combinations of food. It could be dehydration. It could be that you're rushing. So many of those reasons. And often it is down to the wrong combination of foods, or the foods that you're eating are really not suiting you. And one of the biggest culprits, of course, is grains, particularly wheat. We find it difficult to digest wheat in its current format as processed food, a grain that has been so heavily sprayed, a grain that has been stored, it becomes quite rancid.
Yeah.
So, if it's, just towards the end of the day that you're getting bloating, it's probably the wrong type of food or stress or a combination of those things.
Yeah.
And then we see fluctuations around particularly in ladies with the menstrual cycle, because with a fluctuation in hormones, particularly estrogen and progesterone at different times of the month, that can cause bloating. And to get to the root cause of what's going on there, I like to do a Dutch test, because then we can start to see patterns in the hormones. Because also with the fluctuations in hormones, you may not be metabolizing those hormones very well. We need to make those hormones, but we need to methylate them. We need to get them out of the body. And what's happening with people, with ladies particularly that are overweight and bloated, those hormones can be being recirculated, and then they cause all sorts of problems in those detox pathways. So it is a complex thing when we have bloating that is around the changes in the menstrual cycle, and it's worth doing the work and getting to the root cause of that.
Yeah. So how can we reduce or stop belly bloating? What can we do?
Yeah. Okay. I think firstly, eating a wide variety of whole foods, natural foods in their natural state. So thinking about that diversity of up to 30 different fruits and vegetables every week can help build the commensal bacteria, to make sure we've got all that good bacteria present and accounted for, because the more we have the good bacteria, the more chance we've got of crowding out the bad bacteria. Think about food combining. So thinking about certainly healthy fat and protein at every meal, but if you're having fruit, have it on its own. Think about if you're having lots of grains and seeds and nuts, soaking those first, because particularly with nuts. So if you feel that you love your nuts, but you're just eating them raw and you're not chewing them well, but you're also not soaking them first, then they have what is called phytic acid in the nuts, and that can cause bloating. So soaking, thinking about grains and legumes and nuts to be soaked first, and you can soak them in water and a dash of apple cider vinegar, and then rinse them well, like soak them for several hours and then rinse them well, and that can help make those much more easy to digest.
Cool.
Make sure you slow down and chew your food really well. That's so important. You know, if we're rushing and we're eating really quickly and we're talking and drinking water at the same time, then that's going to cause bloating. So stop doing that for sure. And make sure, you know, like having regular exercise and making sure you're adequately hydrated can really help with bloating as well.
Trish, as we were talking about this, and really interesting what you're saying, I always like to leave with a little challenge, something that we can do that makes what you've said practical, just a first step for everyone. What would that be in this case?
Okay, so let's do the stomach acid test. It's an easy one. All you need is bicarb soda, which many of us will have in our cupboard if you like to do a bit of home baking. And first thing in the morning, I want you to take half a teaspoon of bicarb soda and mix it into a glass of water. And on an empty stomach, mix that in and swallow it. And as soon as you swallow it, have a look at the clock or set your timer on your phone or your stopwatch and make a note of how soon you burp. Because what happens if you've got rich stomach acid, lots of stomach acid, the reaction with the bicarb soda will make you burp.
Okay.
If you have very low stomach acid, you won't burp. And if you have low stomach acid, you're not breaking down your food, and your food will spend too long in the stomach and it will ferment and it will cause bloating. So check your stomach acid. And if you have really low stomach acid, you can look at supplementing with a digestive enzyme called betaine HCl. It's a hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and that will make a massive difference to your life.
Cool. Like that. And that will make a really interesting video when I do the challenge and show everyone me burping. I mean, everyone's got to look forward to that, surely.
We're going to have the burp competition. Yes, I know the kids like to do the burps. But yeah, so if you burp within the first 3 minutes, you've got good stomach acid. If you don't burp at all, or you burp, you have a tiny little burp at about 5 minutes, then supplementing with that hydrochloric acid will be very good for you.
Cool. Thank you, Trish. Always appreciate your time. Thank you. Each week I ask the experts that I interview to leave us with a little challenge. It's just a first step. It's something that we can try. If we enjoy it, obviously we can keep doing it. If we don't like it, we can just throw it out and keep looking for what does work for us. I'll be taking this week's challenge. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all of the challenges our experts have shared. To get that video and all of our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. If you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalise your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress and you'll be able to help us develop the platform too. I'll put a link in the description and I'll see you in the next video.